Depending where you might be in the country at this time. This is Chad Himes with the Internet Marketing Specialist designation. Before we officially jump into the call, we want to make sure you know how to use the chat session here. We want to ask you, what is your Klout Score? Marketing Specialist designation. During the call today, I'm sure you're going to have questions as we're going through. I'm going to hope that you can post those questions for us on our Facebook page. So jump over to facebook.com/IMS designation so that we can find out what your Facebook questions are throughout the day. Post them on the wall there for us. That way, if we don't get to them through the call for some reason, we'll still be able to answer them throughout the day for you. Want to thank you again for coming and joining us here on the call this morning. Again, one more time, Chris has posted that for you. It's facebook.com/IMS designation for questions throughout the call. That's where we'll be looking for you. I want to let you know a little bit about the IMS designation. Ben, throw that slide up there for them so that they can see the core classes that we provide through the designation. We break down internet marketing to the 8 key areas that you would want to understand: blogging, mastering lead generation, dominating the social media, the classified services, paid advertising, search engine optimization, internet lead conversion, and of course, online listing presentation. We're going to take you through all those sessions, teach you the models, the systems, the man who founded the program, so you can understand how to become an internet marketing specialist just like he is in his business. Now, if you're interested in joining the program, just go to imsd.net. That's imsd.net, and use the promotional code CLOUT today so that you can earn $200 off the price. So I told you that it's his models and it's his systems that the founder here created. There he is. That's Ben Kinney for you, a mega agent located in Bellingham, Washington. Ben's been in the business about 6 years. His team is blowing doors open with the listings they're taking, the followers they have on Twitter, the engagement he gets socially. That's why Ben's Klout is where Ben's Klout is, and that's why we wanted to bring this to you. Now, many of you joined us for 37 Ways Not to Suck at Real Estate that Ben hosted last week. This is the 38th way not to suck, understanding your Klout. But Ben, how about saying hello and a little bit of an update? What do we got going on that they might want to know about to add to their ways not to suck?
Well, it's embarrassing to be the one of the tech guys on the call here and realizing that I had the slideshow paused. So I kept on moving the slides forward for you and not realizing that I was paused on the first screen, Chad. So when you had to call out and say, hey, man, when you go to the slide, yeah, that was me messing up. So even the techiest of people make lots of screw-ups. Hey, thanks, everybody, for joining us on the call today. I imagine we'll have thousands of people view this video over the next 24 hours. So excited to have the actual members of Klout on the call with us. It's going to be fabulous, and we're going to dig in. We're going to ask some tricky questions. Keep your questions coming in. I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to ask Megan everything we possibly can going forward. For those of you that missed the 37 Ways Not to Suck on Real Estate, it was a fabulous call last week, and I hope you guys take the time to watch it. It's available. We'll send the link out to all you guys. Chris Smith, if you could send that out to everybody on the call, that'd be awesome. Let's just go right ahead and talk to the reason we're here today. Chad, you want to introduce Megan?
I would love to introduce Megan and talk about what we've got going on here. Megan Berry, she's the marketing manager for Klout, which is the standard measure of online influence. Megan blogs on the Huffington Post, Mashable, Brazen, Careerist, and the Klout blog, as well as musing on her own blog. She made me laugh earlier when she told me that she's a part-time perfectionist. She said that because there's not enough time in the day to actually be a full-time perfectionist, or she probably would be. Megan had her first award-winning website at the age of 11, graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Stanford University, and worked initially at MobClicks before joining Klout as its 4th employee. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Megan.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Are you out there, Megan?
Yeah, I heard her there. Megan?
Yeah, can you hear me? Thanks for having me on.
So much better. Perfect.
Our pleasure. Now, for those of you who don't know Klout, now that you know who Megan is, let me tell you a little bit about Klout. Klout measures influence online. When you create content or engage, you impact others. Klout analyzes that impact to actually find your Klout score, influential topics, and who your influencers are. Klout is the standard for influence. Top brands such as Disney, Audi, and Turner use Klout perks to reach and engage influencers, and over 3,000 applications and partners using Klout data to display Klout scores prioritized based on score or topic and segment users. Now, Klout, that was a whole mouthful of stuff, Megan. Break that down to layman's term for the people out there who really don't know what Klout is. What is Klout?
So we measure influence online. We take in data from all of your social networks and profiles in order to understand, in the most basic level, how many people do you influence, how much do you influence them, and how influential are they?
Okay, there you go. That broke it down to interesting. Now, Megan, I wanted to ask you about the history of Klout. You were telling me how it all got started, and I thought it was a pretty interesting story. Would you mind sharing that with everybody?
Of course. So Klout was founded in 2008. We actually just had our 3-year anniversary. Founded by Joe Fernandez and Ben Tran. And Joe, what happened is Joe got jaw surgery, and his mouth was wired shut for 3 months. And he really started to dive into social media, was using it as his primary mode of communication since he couldn't talk, and started to notice that there was a lot of influence going on in those venues, and it was topical and it was real time. So for the first time in history, people are able to measure that influence, measure those conversations we're having with our friends in order to understand it. So that was how the idea for Klout was born.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit, how does it work?
Definitely. So if you connect your social profiles, and then we're able to understand when you say something on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, how many people respond to that, how many LinkedIn recommendations do you have, how many people are sharing your content to their own audiences. And so we have a very, in-depth algorithm. We have a team of like 9 scientists working on it constantly. And that spits out a score between 1 and 100, and that's your Klout score. We also show your influential topics, so for instance, that you're influential on real estate or cooking or gardening.
And how often is your score updated?
It's updated daily.
Daily. Is there a time of day? Should we all be logging in at like 12:01?
It's early in the morning our time, so it's around 6 or 7 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay, great.
When you say our time and you say Pacific time, you don't have to detail. We understand that the Pacific time zone is the correct time zone. Right?
Correct.
Correct. We understand that we are all in the correct time zone. Everybody on the other side of the country, hey, sorry about that. So you mentioned a score in there, Megan, and we asked people their score. We got some people who were in the 20s. We got some people in the 70s. We got some people who were embarrassed to even post it. What's a good score? What's a bad? When should we hide our head? When should we, hold our head up high? What's a good score?
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that because the traditional, 100-point scale that we're all used to is grades. So you think, my gosh, like I must be failing. But the truth is the average score is around 20. So anything above 20 means that you're doing better than the average person. And, anything above 30 really shows you're quite active on the social web and you are impacting other people. Above 50 shows that you're using it at some next level, maybe for a professional career, maybe could be a comedian or whatever, but you're really reaching people with a score above 50.
So who has the highest score on Klout?
So currently the high score is held, which is 100, is held by Justin Bieber.
Now, that ticks me off. How could I possibly compete with Justin Bieber?
Well, I think, in the end game, the goal for us normal people isn't to be 100. It's to have a high score and to be influential on the topics you care about. The truth is I'm not that interested personally in people trusting my opinion on let's say what music they listen to, but I might be very interested that they trust my opinion on social media marketing, because that's, what I do professionally. So you don't have to get a perfect score. It's just about making sure that you're reaching the audience you want to reach, and they're paying attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I want to be able to find people, since we're in real estate, that are local in my market that have the highest score relevant to maybe my city or the areas that I service as a real estate professional.
Absolutely.
So if we're going to give the audience some ideas on how do they improve their score, maybe some just quick thoughts on what we could do to get more improvement?
Definitely. So number one's kind of an easy one, which is sign up and connect all your networks. If we can't see the influence, if we can't see your influence, we can't give you credit for it. So that's easy. But then apart from that, it's about creating good content consistently. And what good means is going to vary based on your audience. But when you post something, you should notice how are people responding to it. Did I get a lot of, likes or retweets or what have you, or did people not care about that post? And then learn from that and post more of the stuff that people engage with.
So are likes equal to comments and retweets equal to mentions? Is there a measure or a difference between those different interactions?
So we look at it based on how strong the signal of influence is. So if you think on Twitter, a retweet means I liked your comment so much I want to share it completely with my own audience. And so that's a bit of a stronger signal than an app message. But that's what our science team does, is understand what each influence signal means in order to map it back. But if the end game is how much are you influencing other people. So it's also based on if you're getting retweeted by someone who is one of the most influential people in your industry, that's going to matter more. If you're getting retweeted by someone who actually doesn't retweet that often, and that'll be a stronger signal that you influence them.
That's actually a pretty advanced algorithm.
I was going to say, so it matters when Ben or maybe Chris Smith, who's on the call, retweet what someone's saying because they are influential in the areas. That matters more than if my friends just retweet what I said because I call them up and say, hey, retweet that for me.
Exactly.
So you added a whole bunch of new networks recently, and I just went through yesterday, and Chad and I added all these networks onto our profiles. Are these profiles weighted differently? Should we be focusing more on one than the other?
So we view each network equally. So just work on the networks that work for you. You don't have to do them all. You certainly can. But if you're just focused on reaching people and engaging them, the Klout Score will follow.
Okay. Maybe we could talk a little bit about some of these individual networks so I could get an idea if people are focused on some of these separate networks, what they should focus on. We have a couple of brilliant people on the call today. Probably Chris Smith is one of the best people in real estate on Facebook and Twitter, and we have Brad Hanks on the call. He's probably one of the leading people in real estate on LinkedIn. How would Klout look at LinkedIn? What are some metrics on LinkedIn that would be important?
So on LinkedIn, it'd be certainly if anyone comments or likes your content, how many recommendations you have, and the quality of your connection.
Okay. Foursquare, YouTube.
So Foursquare is about not just that you're checking in often, but that actually the action that you drive on that network. So do people comment when you check in somewhere? If you write a tip, do they do that tip? That sort of indicates you're changing what they're choosing to do.
Well, Chad stole all my mayorships of Best Buy and the bookstore and all the places. Even my own office, he's stolen my mayorships. do mayorships matter for Klout?
We're always evolving the algorithm, so it's something that could matter in the future. Right now, it's not a big part. It's not a big part of that.
Okay.
Now I'm getting a lot of questions, Megan. People are asking about some of the ones that aren't shown here that we're all talking about that we know are coming next. Like you and I talked about it, Facebook pages. Will we be adding that soon to Klout?
Absolutely. So that's one of the ones that's coming up very soon, and you'll be able to add, your business page to the business profile or to your profile, whichever makes sense. You can only add one page per Klout profile, but that will be an option soon.
Oh, brutal! Only one fan page.
We're going to fight that one out as to who runs which fan page and who gets to consider it as part of their Klout, huh?
Interesting, interesting.
Now, what about Google+? Will that be coming? I mean, we're all still figuring that out. We actually did a bonus webinar on that one about a month ago with Chris Smith talking about it. We know a lot of the people on this call have set up and are moving forward on Google+. Will that start counting in their Klout score as well?
So as soon as Google gets us an API, we will integrate it, absolutely.
Okay. Some of the others that I was noticing we were talking about also, you've got a lot of blogging stuff on there. How about WordPress or Active Rain, which a lot of our people are using? Are either of those on the target?
WordPress is certainly on the target. I'm actually not familiar with Active Rain.
Okay, maybe we can send you over some. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
what about Scavenger?
It's not certainly on our near-term list, but our overall goal is to measure influence wherever it happens. So we'd like to add, to have, in the near term, many networks, and in the far term, hundreds of networks.
Now, Megan, I see one not on the list, and when I'm after this, maybe Ben, you and Megan can go over what all of those icons are. We're getting a few people saying they don't even recognize what some of them are, but I see one not on the list, and I think it'll really change Klout Score for a lot of people out there. What about Farmville? Because there's a lot of people that just farm way too long. Could that increase my Klout Score somehow?
Oh, man, no, I don't think we'll be scoring Farmville. It's funny, though, because a couple of the people in our office were formerly at Zynga, so Farmville has definitely come up as a joke.
What about Match.com? I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of matches out there.
A lot of dating influence.
Yes, a lot of dating influence. Well said. Hey, let's break down some more of these scores and look a little deeper into each one of these sections. The score analysis. Any comments or anything you want to talk about on this?
Yeah, so it looks back over 30 days, so you can see how your influence has changed over time. Also note these graphs are very zoomed in, so you can see it looks like Ben's had all these huge changes in his Klout score, but that whole graph goes from 74 to 77. So it's just something to keep in mind. People look at it and they're like, oh my God, it was such a steep drop, like what have I done? But it's really only half a point. So we did that because we used to have the whole scale, and then it looked like nothing ever changed. But it's just good to note so you don't freak out or take anything out of context.
And it looks like you guys round up from 0.5 gives you a 76. Is that right?
That is correct. When we have to narrow it down and take out the decimal, yeah, we'll round.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. So we're at network influence. And it shows mine is 100. Is that good? Does it cap out at 100?
That's amazing. Congratulations. Yeah, that's the best you can get. So it is a score of 1 to 100, and it measures the influence of the audience who's regularly engaging with you. Yeah, well done.
Okay. Let's any feedback for the audience on how do we increase this number?
Yeah, so basically what it is looking at, the top people who are engaging with you. So it's not, you don't have to not engage with people with low scores. That's not what that's about. But if you have a lot of people with high scores who are engaging with you, that's when you'll see something like that. So that network influence score indicates you really have a ton of people with high scores who are interacting with you.
Okay. And do each one of these categories we're going to go through here, do they add up to equal your final Klout score?
So they're sub-scores, so they're components of the overall Klout score, but there's not like a linear way they add up.
Okay. Well, the next one is amplification. I kind of stuttered my way through that. Amplification, sorry. probability? And tell us about that one.
So that's the likelihood that your content will be amplified. In simple terms, it's how much are you influencing people. When you post something, is everyone sort of sharing it and spreading that message and engaging with it, or is it only a few people? So again, that's a 1 to 100, so 100 is amazing.
Okay.
We're going to see a pattern with these on some of Ben's numbers.
So this true reach, now this is one that burns me up inside that I've been trying to figure out because it doesn't seem to grow like I want it to. Tell us about true reach, and then how do we effectively grow that?
So true reach is how many people do you actually influence. It's based on that engaged audience idea again. So you're not influencing someone just because they followed you, because they might not really be paying attention to what you're saying. And similarly on other networks, it's about the people who are engaging with you. And the way to grow that is to have more people engage with you, which isn't necessarily an easy thing. And that's why you'll see it often grows slowly, because that is, it is difficult. But, and that one is not obviously 1 to 100. That's a straight up number of how many people are influenced by you.
And this one has said for a while that they're currently updating the true reach number. Please check back soon. Any inside tips on when we could see that being changed?
We don't have a set date on it yet. Hopefully soon.
Okay. All right. So next screenshot is influencer of. These are the people that I influence. It doesn't show them all, or is it ranked by their score?
So it shows a selection of the top ones. And this is interesting to note that when we score someone, it's not a shallow dive. We actually look at how much you influence every single one of your connections and get what we call a strength of influence score. And that goes both ways, how much I influence that follower and how much they influence me for every connection. So it's sort of a tremendous technical task, and that does return that in all these people who you influence and who influence you, and that's what you see there.
This next chart is pretty intriguing to me too. Tell us about this chart and what's it mean? What does it mean? And really, where do we want to be found on this chart?
And why am I on my own all the way on the left there?
Yes.
So what you're seeing here is our Klout styles. Unfortunately, it doesn't screenshot well, which I try to explain to our product team sometimes that it's important to have things screenshot well. But if you go to your own style page, you can mouse over and there'll be a description of each class. But basically in the upper right, you have sort of a celebrity who's creating a ton of content and reaching a very broad audience. That looks like, Klout's in there, which is awesome. But you'd see sort of Justin Bieber or Pete Cashmore in there as well. On the bottom right, you have people who are specialists. So they're very focused in a given topic or series of content topics, but they do have a very engaged audience. So that's a great place to be as well. And then the top left is people who are sharing, are taking links from across the social web and sharing those as opposed to creating new content. And then the very bottom left is someone who's sort of not very involved. Let me see.
Are we saying that Chad's not very involved right now?
I'm in the conversationalist square. That's where I am.
So
you talk too much.
Conversationalist is like the name implies, like creating a lot of discussion and conversation. So that's certainly not a bad place to be either. I like to say that no class is necessarily better than any other. It depends on, style. We used to call it the Klout class. No style is better than any other, but it's just about what you want to accomplish. I don't think it makes sense to aspire to be a celebrity because I don't actually want to be a celebrity. But maybe what I want to be is a specialist because I only care about being influential in certain areas. Or if I want to share links from what everyone's doing, I might want to be a curator. So it depends on what you want to accomplish.
You know, I feel like our goal here in real estate for most of the people on the call is we all want to be a really big fish in a really small pond. Like we want to be the most influential people in our market because most of our business is really market specific or geographically
Gotcha.
specific, right? Okay.
Yeah, so something in the sort of specialist, network, socializer type of styles would probably be really good.
So how often does this style change?
So it changes based on, the content you're producing and how your audience reacts to it. So it depends how often we see a big change. In terms of how often it could change up to weekly.
Okay.
All right, I just got to stop sharing your content as much, Ben, and I'll move over on the slot a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. So everybody on the call, go ahead and type in if you've seen that chart on your own Klout profile. Tell us what you are. I'm just kind of curious what the audience is. So achievements. I feel like you've been neglecting us on achievements. I like the little badges. I like the little awards. It makes me feel good. What happened?
Yeah, so that's, you can see the legacy achievements. Those were our old achievements. They're not updating anymore. So we just, if you earn them back, it was sort of before May of this year, we're going to let you keep them, but those aren't going to continue to update. The new achievements, we really only have, we had a few for a party we hosted, but other than that, the Klout OG is really the main one. But I promise there are more achievements coming, and it will get more exciting.
Okay. All right. Let's carry on from that one then. Here's one that I think is probably one of the coolest thing that Klout is doing and will be doing in the future. And I think this is where people on the call are going to start understanding the value of Klout. But let's tell us about topics. How do we get topics named to our profile and so on?
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I think topics is one of the more valuable aspects of what we're doing because most people don't care abstractly about being influential. They care about being influential in a given, area, location, or topic. So what we do is we analyze all the content you produce and find the content that's getting the most engagement. Then we semantically analyze that content to find out what it is you're talking about there. So what it is about that content that's getting engagement. And we find the the top topics and display them on your profile for what you're influential about. An example might be I might talk equally about technology and cooking, the same number of status updates or tweets or what have you. But when I talk about technology, people respond, they retweet, etc. But when I talk about cooking, no one does anything. So I'd be shown as influential about technology but not cooking.
So sometimes my friends, like I got this friend in Texas, Steve Shatsky, and his popped up with logging and Renaults and something else. And I love going on to the Klout profile and clicking +K on the funny topics that show up on their profile because it cracks me up. I love giving him +Ks on logging. And if you knew Steve, you know that that was just ridiculous. Go ahead.
So obviously, semantic analysis and understanding mapping a piece of content back to that topic is a tricky task. And, I've had some topics myself that weren't quite right. And that's why we give you the option on your topic page. You can remove any topic that doesn't fit. And oftentimes that's we noticed some keyword and we thought it related to something, but it turns out it didn't. So that's why you can curate your own page and remove topics that don't work. And then, if you think a topic's particularly right for you, you can get other people to +K it, and basically what they're doing there is vouching for your influence in that topic. So I might, give +K to, one of our chief, engineers in hacking or coding or similarly because I know they're really influential in that topic, and they're influencing me in that topic. And you can do that on anyone's topic page.
And how important do you think +Ks are going to be in the future for like Klout List, which we'll talk to a little bit later?
To Klout List?
Or topic list. Do I want my audience to be going out there
gotcha.
and clicking +Ks on my topics?
So we are building out topic pages where we'll display the most influential people in a given topic. So that's, I think, where, like you say, Klout will become more interesting to people in certain specialties because you'll want to be the top person in real estate or in your town, etc. And when that launches, there'll be, the top people based on our analysis, as well as the top people based on plusK, like who is giving them plusK in that topic. Mm-hmm. So you will want to be up there, and that's a reason to investigate it and ask people to vouch for you.
So people go to Klout.com, they log in, and then they search for a username by their Twitter ID, and then they click on topics, and the next to topics they can click the little +K button, and that'll give that individual like one vote for that particular topic.
Exactly.
Now, okay. Megan, how often can they do that? Because I've gone to someone's profile, and I've wanted to give them +K in a category, and yet it's grayed out, possibly because I gave it to them the day before. Is it only like once a week I could give someone +K in the same category?
Correct. So you can give them +K once a week.
And we can give up to 5 a day, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So now a lot of people are asking about, this would just be what it looks like when people are giving you. So you know who's giving you those +Ks in the different topics, even if they're not tweeting it out or posting it onto Facebook. You can still come in and see who to thank or who to connect with, because these are people who gave +K in a category. So one of the questions I'm getting a lot, I'm seeing it go by on Facebook, and I hear it from people all the time, is going to be this next topic we're going to talk about, and that's perks, because everyone wants free things. Ben started talking about Klout a long time ago when he actually was at a hotel in Las Vegas who gave him an upgrade due to a Klout Score. I've received DVDs and posters from Klout. I got a lot of people who missed out on their umbrella, wanted to know about this Sharpie perk. How do we talk a little bit about what perks are, how we get the things that come from Klout, who's taking advantage of them, and could we take advantage of them somehow?
Definitely. So Klout perks gives people the opportunity to get special access to products or experiences or something that a brand or business wants to get out there. We've had Audi give people test drives for a new car. We've had HP give away laptops. We've given away invites to Spotify, which is a big music program that came to the U.S. recently, and that's available. So you might think about, if you have a business, you might want to do that. And then from a consumer side, you can get Klout perks by, being influential is important. The score is one component. But actually, more important than that is those topics. So a business will want to reach the top people in their area, and you want the top people overall.
Do you think there'll be a time when local professionals like us could offer Klout perks?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's our plan. So right now, it is a little bit of a more brand-focused price point, but we're going to be launching the ability for you to sort of plug and play your own perk. So you could just go through a process, set it up, kind of like you set up a Facebook ad campaign, and you can already set your location. Many perks are location-based. So for real estate, you could do a perk, in your area, which would make sense.
Okay, let's talk about some applications of Klout in real estate. And I don't know, Chad or Megan, what do you think us as real estate professionals can be thinking about? How do we use Klout going forward?
So
I was wondering.
Go
ahead, Megan. Nope, all you.
I'll jump in there and say, I think we're in a new, exciting world where your influence online and influence sounds so stodgy sometimes, but really when you convince a friend to go to the movies, tell them that they should try a certain plumber, all of those things are influencing other people, even though we don't tend to think about it that way. And for the first time in history, that's sort of something measurable because it's happening online, and we can look at that and understand that. So from a real estate perspective, being someone that people trust in your town is very valuable. and having people trust your opinion in real estate specifically, but also, on other topics that relate to your town and your area. So I think that as it goes forward, this is the first time you can really measure how well you're doing in that, in the topic specifically and in the overall score, as well as looking at ways to interact with, the top influencers in your area. So Klout Perks would be one way, but another way is, now that you can score people by Klout, there's a Chrome plugin, there's a Firefox plugin, so you can, as you look at Twitter, you can see Klout scores. And just understand who to engage with, who's going to give you the maximum bang for your buck.
We are in probably the most or the best industry for utilizing Klout because almost 70% of all transactions result in a referral. And it's not like, I don't influence my friends on what toilet paper they should buy. I'm not getting on Twitter and Facebook and saying, hey, make sure you go buy the XYZ toilet paper. It's just not something I share. But when people ask me about real estate or buying a house, it's something you talk about. It's something that's really, truly referred. Brian Buffini, who's a famous, real estate trainer, he always talks about putting your people in groups and identifying who's most likely to send you a referral. I think Klout gives us the ability to see who's most likely to talk about us, to be our raving fans. And we can identify of our database who the most influential people are and spend special attention making sure we get them the invites to our events and to our open houses and to our parties and to our amazing home races and all the other things that we're working on as an industry. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. Can I ask you a controversial topic there, Megan?
Absolutely.
What in the heck is Empire Avenue, and does that scare you guys at all? And doesn't make a lot of sense to me. How does it affect Klout?
So Empire Avenue, I think, is a fun thing to play around with. They definitely approach things more from a game perspective of it's a stock market of your friends. People have a lot of fun with it. I don't think people take it seriously, so we don't really view it as a competitor. We view it as something, maybe in a similar space, but sort of approaching things in a different way.
Is there anybody else out there that's measuring influence like Klout?
Not, obviously there's always a new player coming all the time, but right now we are in a special position and we're not taking it for granted in the sense that we are the standard to the extent that there's any standard in influence metrics. And it's great to see, in that bio you mentioned in the beginning for Klout, we have over 3,000 brands and applications using us. We've worked with, brands like Disney, Audi, HP, Secret, like all of these top brands trusting our scores, as well as, we had 2 billion API calls last month. That's the kind of thing that you start to see, okay, well, if all these people are trusting the Klout score, maybe it's something I can believe in.
Okay. Well, what do you think the future of Klout is? Not to put you on the spot.
I think we have a lot of ideas of what it could be. There's a big opportunity simply in being the standard for influence, being an influence metric that everyone trusts. So when you want to understand how big of an audience someone has, you go to Klout. There's a big opportunity there. But we also, right now, you see Klout more just in the social media professional space, and it's just now starting to expand. That's why we're excited about, things like this, like real estate trying to figure out how to use it, and other verticals trying to figure it out. Because we do think there's an opportunity for it to be more mainstream, because everyone has Klout. It's not something that's only available to social media gurus. You have Klout, when you're convincing your friends to see a movie, and we want to include more of that in what we're doing.
I think the future Klout in real estate is going to have us showing up on listing appointments, letting people know what our Klout score is. I mean, just think about the power of that when you're sitting down and it's two realtors that are maybe battling for a listing, and one can step up and say, and I've got the Klout score of 70, 80, whatever your Klout score might be, and I'm one of the top influencers when it comes to real estate and my area of the country. It could be the clinching deal for what gets you a listing, and that could totally change how things are going with real estate with the impact of Klout.
I think you're right, Chad. You know, we're all competing against these agents that show up, and they all say the same things. You know, I have a Facebook fan page, and I say, yeah, but you know, it's only their mom and their grandma that's ever visited. Or I have a website, and I say, yeah, same problem. You only have 2 visitors in the last month, and they're both relatives. Or they're saying all these things, but there's no way to like quantify how we're different. You know, I'd be fine to sit down a listing presentation and say, go to Klout.com, look me up, see how influential I am in my area. You know, nobody spreads the word about real estate more than I do, and look it up. It's Klout is the measurement for it. Megan, can I ask you, how are you guys funded?
So we're VC funded. We got a round of funding in January from Kleiner Perkins and Graycroft. And that was an $8.5 million round. We have about 50 people, so you know we need the money, and we're using it to make everything better. You're seeing these new topic pages, adding all these new networks. That's what's possible with the funding we have.
This screen that I looked at yesterday, get even earlier access to topic pages on Klout. What would I have to do to get the people that are on this call today live a little bit of an earlier access to these topic pages? Could I bribe you? Can I cry? You know,
We
give
can
me
send her
some.
a geeky shirt.
I will send you a geeky shirt. Yeah, whatever you need.
It's actually easier than that. All you have to do is go sign up to get early access, but then to get even earlier access, there's a little link. And if you get 5 other people to sign up, which shouldn't be a problem for anyone on this call, I'm pretty confident, then you'll get earlier access.
Now, I did this yesterday. I know that I had some people sign up right away, but they aren't showing up on the list yet. How soon does it take to fill in those little gray boxes that I see here?
So it should happen pretty quickly. One thing to note, though, and I hope we make it clear, but is that they have to be new users for Klout. So if they had already registered for Klout and now they signed up for topics, it's actually not going to count. You have to get someone completely new to Klout. And you can understand why we might want that.
Well, we have some incredibly influential people on the call right now. I'm just looking at our lineup. We got Albie on the call, and Allison Kramer, and Chris Smith, and some hugely influential people. We have Liz Landry, one of the top tech coaches in the nation. We have just a ton of great people. We have an interesting person on the call too, Laura Price. She just wrote an awesome article to 80,000 Keller Williams Associates on Klout and Klout Score, which was on the one of their blogs there. What else do we have?
Ben,
anyway,
you know who's on the call? Lisa Archer's on the call, and she just did an episode on HGTV for anybody who saw it. She was telling us that one of the ways that she was found and contacted to be on the show was actually because of her Klout Score.
Yeah.
They found her, knew she was influential in the area, contacted her, and then she was then hosting an episode of a show on HGTV just last week.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I'll throw a challenge out to everybody on the call. You guys should be sharing these links here to get onto the list of the topic pages. When should we be expecting to get access if we get all 5 people to sign up?
I mean, it depends. You know, we'll be giving those early people access as soon as the pages are done. To be honest,
Okay.
So ideally, that's going to be. I mean, it's going to be sometime in August. So that gives you a time span. Not in the next week, but hopefully soon after that.
Okay, cool.
We're getting some great questions on the Facebook page. I just want to remind everybody, because as we get near the end of this call, we're not going to get to answer all the questions you're sending. Post them on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/IMSdesignation. Post your questions. That way, even after the call, Megan might be able to jump on and answer a few of them. We'll be able to jump in and answer a few of your questions. Want to make sure you guys all have that link on our fan page so that we can make sure we get to your questions even after this call is over.
Hey, John Novak just had an interesting question he just posted. He's an agent from Las Vegas. He said, can Klout be geo-targeted? You know how like GeoChirp will allow you to put a point like Bellingham, and I can find all the people around that are on Twitter. Do you think Klout will be able to search in that manner?
So right now we do that for our perks. So for businesses and brands, we can target the top people in a given area. We don't offer that data publicly right now, but it might be something we show in the future, at least like the top 5 or top 10 people in a given area.
By city or zip code or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, good question, John. I didn't think
Another
about that.
question I got here is asking about lists. A lot of people who see the lists that are on your page there, and Christine was asking, what are the lists for? Is it just a way to group people for you, and there seems to be a maximum number of people you can put on a list? What were the thoughts behind lists?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're watching how people are using it, and then it'll evolve from there. Right now, the most prevalent uses are I'm having like a mini competition among a few people or in a given team based on Klout Score, so it's a way to track people. If group people who in a certain way and sort of look at how their Klout Scores are changing, etc. And right now it is limited to 10 people, but as we watch sort of how people are interacting with it, we'll probably make some changes and add some more features to it.
So I got some time here to bring some people live on the call. If anybody wants to come on and ask their own question, and you need to hit the hand button on your GoToWebinar thing. I don't even know what it's called. Anyway, hit the hand button, and I'll bring you on live. We can panel, and we can ask some questions. If any of you guys want to do that, I'll bring you on live right now.
Megan, Ken's asking while Ben's looking for someone. I got a question from Ken here. He says, how many people have actually signed up for a Klout account? What are you guys up to in number of people?
Yeah, so we're able to score anyone who has a public Twitter account as well as people who sign up. So we have scores on about 90 million people.
So even if they haven't signed up for an account, if they're on Twitter, they're in the Klout system.
And it's a public account, then yes, then they have a score.
So any outside of your company, you're in the tech space, you're on Mashable, you're one of the most influential bloggers out there. What else should we be paying attention to other than Klout? Anything else that's new and shiny? We love shiny objects.
Squirrel.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
A squirrel just ran across.
Okay.
We're good.
So, okay. There's a lot of things that are really cool. Some of them we've integrated. Instagram's a fun up-and-comer for photos. Quora, I think, is, interesting in given topic areas. I don't know. There's so much. It's probably hard to just narrow it to a few.
Who's going to win the battle, Facebook or Google+?
I think they'll be different. I think there's room for both of them.
That's such a diplomatic answer. Chad, there's any other good questions coming through there?
I will grab some other questions. There's some people that are posting them on the Facebook page as we speak. So
I got the Facebook.com/geeky girls. They're on the call today. If you guys have any good questions, we always like hearing from you guys as well.
Cindy's just saying she just signed up, so now what? Because there's a lot of people out there, Megan, who probably had not signed up. They're listening to this webinar, and they're quickly going to klout.com. That's spelt with a K, for those of you who haven't caught on to that on the screen so far. It's klout.com. What do they do now? Do they just need to go invite everybody that's on Facebook and Twitter that are their friends, or what do they do first?
I mean, I think the first thing, like when joining, any new project is kind of to, even before inviting people, is just to take a step back and sort of observe what are the Klout Scores of the people you're talking to, your network, people you respect, and sort of look at that, look at their topic, feel like how well it jives with your picture of your social network. And that should give you a good idea of the value behind it when you start to see that, oh, all the people that I think are doing a good job have, maybe a higher score than me. Then you start to, that puts real value behind why you want that score. And then it gives you something to look for also, what are those people doing that I'm not? And maybe create a list of those people you want to watch to see what they're doing and how their Klout Score is changing because of that.
What's the Klout Score today for Klout?
think it's 80 something.
I think there were 82 yesterday when I went to take the screenshot to be as current as possible.
Oh, we have another awesome trainer from California, Stacy Harmon's on the call. She just asked, what do they measure on YouTube? Number of views, number of subscribers?
So yeah, all of the above. It means sort of, those views, subscribers, how people rate your videos, etc. All of that, all of those indicators of actions. I should mention, though, that while you can, connect to YouTube, it's not fully integrated into scoring yet. Just in case someone has it and is disappointed that they're not seeing a jump, we're allowing people to connect to some networks but haven't fully integrated them into scoring.
So like Ben was saying, there's all these networks now that you guys all of a sudden added on us. We thought we were pretty current, and like 2 days ago you added like 5 new ones to the list. We've gone and we've created our account and linked up our account on everything, but if we're not using one of those sites, like Instagram, if we're not using it, that's not going to hurt our score because it's going to see that we are being influential on Twitter and Facebook and the other areas that we are. Will it help our score if we're impacting every platform? Will that affect our score?
There's no de facto jump just for being on a platform. What it's about is the number of people you're influencing on that platform. So it depends on sort of how you use your time and the most efficient way to do so. That's going to vary based on your audience and who you are. So maybe if you concentrate all your time on Facebook, you're going to reach more people through that than you would if you spread it out through 5 networks. Or depending on, you might find that spreading it out is more effective. But it's really about how many people you're influencing as opposed to how many platforms you're influencing.
Chad, any good final questions before we let this poor girl go, before we beat her up anymore?
There are some great questions. There really are. My suggestion is going to be that they keep posting them on the Facebook page so that we can get to them. I know Megan is pretty open to answering some of those questions if they're things that I can't even ask, that they're out there. So there are a lot. I'm just having trouble keeping up with them, actually. I got one.
Megan, we got somebody requesting your Twitter handle. Is it okay if we follow you?
Of course, yes, please do.
How do we connect with you?
Megan Berry, MEGANBERRY, similar, just my name basically. And if you want to email me, it's megan@klout.com.
Okay, I just sent that out to all the users. This has been a pretty cool call. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and as more advancements happen on Klout, we really would like to welcome you to come back again and do this again, because I think but we don't even know it exactly yet, but you guys are really going to affect our industry, and I think you can make our jobs easier, and I think you can make us more effective as professionals out there. Anybody that's on the call that's not an IMSD members, God forbid, we want to encourage you to go to imsd.net and sign up. Our discount code today is Klout. That'll give you $200 off the normal price. Any other questions, make sure you go to facebook.com/IMS designation. You can always find us on Twitter, Facebook, and all the other places out there. And every time that Klout adds a new network, I'm sure you'll find us there as well, as we clamor like sheep to whatever Megan posts online.
And we'll be looking for your +K, right, Ben? We'll be happy to accept your +K.
We'll be +K'ing the heck out of all you guys on the call, and looking forward to when the lists come out. And Megan, thanks again for joining us, and next time we're in San Francisco, we'll all have to meet up.
Definitely. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. Everybody have a great call today. Any other questions, hit us up on Facebook, and we'll talk to you guys all later.